Well, hello, friends. It's time for another Squint podcast here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, October 22nd. I'm wearing another one of my new hoodies. My wife got on me because I seem to have acquired some hoodies, quite a few in the last month or so. But I'll have to back up here. You can see Sunday is my favorite day hoodie. And this is by ARC, Association of Related Churches. As a church planter, I love ARC, and I support church planting as I am a church planting pastor. And so this was my new hoodie for the day, or for the month. So I want to share with you, I have been preaching a series of messages at Better Life Church, the church that I've planted in Newaygo, 9103 Mason Drive. We meet every Sunday at 10:30 in the morning. You can visit our website, betterlifepeople.com. There's my plug for my church. Now, I've been sharing with them about donkey missions, a series of messages called What's the Point? And we've been going through a book, little plug for my friend Matt Keller down in Florida at Next Level Church. And great book. And if you haven't ever read this, you might want to buy it sometime and read through it. And so we're going through a series of messages based on that book. And it's the idea of what's the point. And the story is about, in the Old Testament, about Saul before he became king of Israel. His dad loses some donkeys. It's in 1 Samuel chapter 9. His dad loses some donkeys. He sends Saul and a servant to go look for them. Saul is head and shoulders taller than anybody. He is like, Mr. Everything. And he might be thinking maybe he's too good to go on this mission. And they're looking, and they look in like 4 or 5 different places, and they can't find him. Saul wants to get out of this mission because it's going no place. It was the servant that talked him into continuing on. Because as he continued on, he then later found his greater mission. He went on a mission looking for his dad's donkeys, and he found the greater mission that God had for him, and that was to be the king of Israel. So that's the idea. And so the big picture is sometimes we go through life and we're going through whatever it is we're going through, and we wonder, what's the point, God? And maybe things aren't going well like they weren't for Saul. And we think, what's the point? And we want to quit. But I believe that if we continue on, that we will, like Saul did, we will find God's greater mission for us in life. Not just the donkey mission, but the donkey mission will then direct us to God's greater mission. And then we'll receive the blessing, a great blessing, because we'll find God's greater mission for our life. So having said that, I have a New Testament passage thought that kind of goes along with that. So it's Acts chapter 16, I'm reading from the NIV, verses 6 through 10. Paul and his companions traveled through the region of Phrygia and Galatia, having been kept by the Holy Spirit from preaching the word in the province of Asia. So they wanted to go to Asia, but they couldn't. So they went through Galatia. And when they came to the border of Mysia, they tried to enter Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus would not allow them to. So that's the second time. They tried to go someplace and they couldn't. It wasn't Satan hindering them. It says the Spirit of Jesus would not allow them. Verse 8, so they passed by Mysia and they went down to Troas. And during the night, Paul had a vision of a man of Macedonia standing and begging him, come over to Macedonia and help us. After Paul had seen the vision, we got ready at once to leave for Macedonia, concluding that God had called us to preach the gospel to them. Paul and his companions are revisiting churches that they had previously planted. And they try to go north. They try to go into Asia, and the Holy Spirit keeps them from going there. And then they try to go into an area called Bithynia, and they are being kept by the Spirit of Jesus, it says. Now they could be thinking, what's the point in all of this? I mean, we're trying to do ministry, but we can't go. And it's Jesus that's not letting us go. Lord, what's the point? But they continued to travel. They continued to know that God had something yet for them. And then During the night, Paul gets a vision of a man of Macedonia saying, come over and help us. And Paul saw it, and that at once they began to leave, concluding that God had called them to preach the gospel to them in Macedonia. And if you know anything about that, when you read Acts 16 and you go into Acts 17, when they go into Macedonia, it wasn't a man, it was a woman. So oftentimes dreams, they're interpretive and they can be symbolic. But the idea was they were trying to go in one area, but God had another plan for them. And so they didn't quit the donkey mission. It could have been a donkey mission to them. They were trying to go here, that's not working. We're trying to go here, that's not working. Boom, 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 knock on wood. And what are we going to do? But they kept active. They kept actively serving. And then one night, Paul gets the vision and says, I want you to come over to Macedonia. And that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly, they thought God was calling them there. And God indeed was calling them there. And they had a very fruitful ministry, a very productive ministry. So what's the point? The point is when you're going through life and things aren't going well this way, and then you try to go this way, persist, pray, speak to the Lord, and then keep your ears open to how he might be guiding you, because he will open a door. Because your donkey mission, if you don't quit, Galatians 6:9 says, and let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time or at the right time, we will reap a harvest if we do not quit. And so if we stay active and we don't quit, then we know our donkey mission will bring us into God's greater mission that he has for us. That was true of Saul in the Old Testament. That was true of Paul in the New Testament. And that's true for you and me. When we're going through life and we think, what is the point in all of this? Continue on, keep praying, keep trusting, don't sit on the sideline, stay active, and God will lead you to that greater mission that he has. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Get out, enjoy the colors. The trees are turning, the leaves are starting to fall. Looks like we have some great weather the first part of this week. So I just pray that you have a great rest of your Sunday, and that this week is the best week of your life. Take care, and we'll see you at the next week's Squint Podcast.